This might be the most epic moment in all of prog rock history. That was, of course, part of the third movement of the Yes classic Close to the Edge off the album Close to the Edge from 1972. This pipe organ entrance is such a triumphant, powerful moment, and I want to break down the harmony here to help give a deeper understanding of why this is so incredible. If you want the sheet music for this, you can find it, as well as sheet music from all of my lessons, by joining my Patreon or becoming a channel member here on YouTube. I want to take a look at the section right before the pipe organ so we have some context for when it enters, and that starts with this. This entire part of the song is rooted on E. There's this E drone, or this E pedal tone hanging out underneath all of this. And this is in the key of E major, and I'm going to analyze this from that perspective. Now, there's all these soundscapes here as well. There's keyboards and guitars swelling, birds chirping, raindrops, and all of that is adding to the atmosphere. Now, any of these parts that are pitched, like the guitars and keyboards, are also all coming from the key of E major, and then it goes into the chords. These are played primarily in the keys. There might be some guitar layered in there as well, but the keys are really the main driver of the harmony. I'm going to do this on guitar, though, because you do not want to see me play keyboards. But this first chord is an E add 9. So you have this E underneath, and then on top you have G sharp, B, and F sharp. So 3rd, 5th, and 9th. And then that top note moves down to C sharp. So you have an E with C sharp on top. That's our 6th. So we have an E6. And those two chords go back and forth as a vamp. And that 2-chord vamp alternates with this chord progression. The E pedal tone is continuing under all of this, but the chords on top are E major 7, B minor, F sharp minor, F sharp diminished, and B. E major 7, F sharp minor, and B are all coming from the key of E major, but these other two chords are outside of the key. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at this. One, you could see them as being borrowed from the parallel minor key of E minor. Our parallel minor key is the key that's based on the same root note, but it's a minor key. So we have our E major and then E minor. And you can kind of hear this pull from light to dark. So we have these major chords, and then minor, major, minor, major. And that kind of goes along with the lyrics of I get up and I get down. There's this lightness and this darkness. The other technique I'm seeing here is chromaticism. If we look at the top note of these voicings, we're going down chromatically from D sharp to C, and then back up. And these two chord progressions that happen here go back and forth 3 times, and it kind of slowly builds up in intensity to that pipe organ entrance. I do have to mention the vocals here as well. There's 2 very distinct vocal parts that happen separately and then later at the same time. The first is this harmonized vocal melody that's more scalar in nature. It's coming a lot from E major pentatonic. And actually looking at this over top of that B minor chord, you still have G sharp, so really that B minor is probably more of a Mixolydian sound than it is a straight minor sound. But of course this is all happening over that E drone. Then we have the main melody sung by John Anderson. There's the I get up, I get down part, which is spelling out an E major 7 arpeggio, and we're going over that 2-chord vamp. There's some pentatonics too at the beginning. So E major pentatonic, and then E major 7. And there's the nice symbolism of going up on the word up, I get up, and then down, I get down on the word down. The other part of the main melody is also focused on arpeggios. We have this 2-bar melody that then goes down a full step to follow the chords. It's a really nice melody, focused on chord tones, follows the chord progression really well. And these two vocal parts that are happening when they happen together don't really line up very well. It's kind of this messy counterpoint, but they work well together because of the range of the parts. They're kind of out of each other's range, as well as the different timbres of the different voices happening. John Anderson has a voice that really pops through, very nice and clear on top. And the vocals underneath, I don't know if they're done by him as well or by other members of the band, but they kind of blend into the background. So you get this nice difference between the sound of these vocal parts.
The eyes upon us still cannot change. How many rings do we deceive?
The last time through this chord vamp, John Anderson's vocals get slowly higher and higher on the I get up, I get down phrase, which then explodes into the pipe organ.
I get up, I get down, I get up, I get down, I get up, I get
I love how the vocals hold this high B and then they kind of blend into the sound of the organ. It's really cool. Now, the pipe organ part itself is not terribly complex, but there's a few interesting elements just from a sonic perspective. This was played on an actual pipe organ at a church in London. I don't remember the name of the church. Maybe I'll put that on the screen here. Now, a pipe organ is a massive instrument, one, if not the biggest instruments in the world, and one of its key features is reverb, because you're in these massive cathedrals, you get all this natural reverb. If you've ever had a chance to actually listen to a pipe organ in real life, it's kind of a life-changing experience. I got to hear the pipe organ be played at the Notre Dame in Paris, and it blew my mind when I heard it. Kind of was like, whoa, it's amazing that you can get that much sound from one instrument. And honestly, I think they did a pretty good job of capturing that in the recording of this song. This insane amount of reverb means that chords will hold over into the next chord, creating some extra dissonance. I can kind of simulate this on guitar by turning up my reverb. You can hear those notes kind of ring together and create some extra dissonance. There's also a bunch of extra overtones that happen in a pipe organ just from the space it's in as well as the instrument itself. So you get other notes that kind of ring in and out here and there. Now, my transcription of this is not 100% accurate. There aren't really any good transcriptions of this online, and hearing all of the inner voices by ear was quite challenging. But mine is pretty close, and more than anything, mine is correct from a chord perspective, which is what I really want to focus on here. There are three parts happening here. There's the high descending half-step melody. There's the low notes, and then there's the chords in the middle. Now, a pipe organ has pedals. That's where we get the term pedal tone from, and that's what's handling the bass notes being played in the feet. And then the right hand is playing the melody, and the left hand is playing the chords. The bass notes here are 8 measures of E, 6 measures of A, and 4 measures of B. These are all played in octaves, and the tempo is very loose here. Nothing in this song is on a grid at all. The melody is also played in octaves. Over the E and B bass, we have E to D sharp. And over the A, it's F to E, so a half step higher. So over E, over A, and over B. The chords in the middle are as follows. Over the E bass, we have E major, F sharp half diminished, or F sharp minor 7 flat 5, A minor, and then back to E. Over the A bass, we have an F, so F over A, or D minor 7 over A. It's kind of hard to hear, but there might be a D in there as well. Then you have E major, and then A minor. And then over the B, we have a B7 sus. So it's a B7 chord with a fourth instead of a third. So 1, 4, 5, 7. Over that E, it's once again moving between E major and E minor. So we have E major, obviously, and then the F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and the A minor are both coming from E minor. And this is, of course, all rooted on E. Over the A, our first chord is an F chord, so F over A. And as I mentioned, it kind of sounds like D minor, so there might be a D in there too, so like a D minor 7 over A. And then to an E major, and then an A minor. So if you view this with A as the root, that's really a 4-5-1 progression. D minor, E, A minor. So it's kind of temporarily moving to the key of A minor here over this A root. And I think that makes sense because out of everything I've talked about so far, this is the first time we lose that E pedal tone underneath and it switches to something else. So it makes sense to temporarily move to a new key here. Then it moves up to the B and we play this B7 sus chord. This is that 7th chord without a third, and it never actually resolves the third like you might normally hear. But this is still functioning as a 5 chord in the key of E, so we're moving back to E major after this. Here's this whole organ part with the music and chords on screen. Then it briefly goes back to the I get up, I get down part before going right back into the same organ part.
I get down, I get up, I get down.
This organ part is exactly the same until the end. At the end, the B pedal tone keeps playing, and we have this really spicy E diminished 7th chord on top. So that's E, G, B flat, and C sharp. And that resolves to E major, but this is all over B, so it's an E over B. Then the chord slowly drops out, leaving just the note B underneath, and that's where the organ and keyboard start noodling, mostly out of B major. And it ends with this really awesome keyboard run where Wakeman is playing descending augmented arpeggios starting on B, one whole step at a time. This is coming from our B whole tone scale. So we play a B augmented, then a full step down, and then continuing that all the way down the keyboard. And this bridges the gap really nicely back to the prog. This is such a beautiful and powerful section of music, and it really showcases the best of what prog rock can offer. Unusual instruments, unique harmony borrowing from classical music as well as modern styles like jazz, and the patience of letting the music build slowly to a climax. One of the best singular moments in prog rock. There you have it, some yes. I know my channel is more focused on prog metal usually, but I'm trying to get some more classic prog rock in here as well. Let me know in the comments what prog rock songs and moments I should cover. And if you enjoyed this lesson, subscribe, hit the bell notification, like, comment, share, and I will see you all in the next video. Till then, stay proggy.